Welcome to the Honest Business Podcast. This is the show for ambitious, value-driven business owners who are actively building a business that works for them. Hi, I'm May James, and I'm here to make scaling your business easier and more rewarding than ever. Each week, we will dive into simple, sustainable strategy and pragmatic leadership discussion to support you as you take imperfect action on your entrepreneurial journey. If you want to stay ahead, exceed your growth goals, and have a purposeful, thriving business, then keep on listening. Hello and welcome back to the Honest Business Podcast. I hope you are very well. Today's episode, I'm going to try and keep it short, sweet, to the point, and I think it's a good one to get into. So today's episode is all about how to make an extra 30k before the end of the year. Now, you can make more than this. You could make 100k from what I'm about to tell you. You can make $1 million from what I'm about to tell you. Or you can make £500, like whatever you want, go for it. I just went for 30,000 because that tends to be like a really doable amount for a lot of people. And I thought, why not? But use this and work it. So right now, it's November. You're listening to this in November, December. There is still plenty of time to make a hell of a lot of money. And I think that's really important to remember. And for you to not just completely check out. You can if you want. I'm not here to say you shouldn't, but there is a lot of momentum going to happen over the next few weeks that you can get involved with and that can feel exciting and fun. But just to take a step back, I thought I would talk about why might you want to do this. So you'll come in here and you think of, right, I'm going to make an extra 30 grand in sales or in cash or both, right? That's up to you to decide what you want that to be. And as I mentioned, change out the number for whatever number you want it to be. But let's think about 30 grand for now. So why are you going to do this? The first reason I think you should potentially do this, and again, you're listening to this episode because you're interested, so let's just go with why you are doing this. I think it's good to prove yourself wrong. Doesn't matter what sort of year you've had, whether you've had an amazing year, whether you've had a shit year, whether you've had a bit of a, some good, some bad. I think ending the year on a high is really, really important. It really sets the tone for next year and it really kind of keeps you feeling positive and good. I want you to finish the end of the year feeling really strong, feeling really positive, feeling excited about your business. Have a nice Christmas break or festive break or end of year break, whatever you do. I know not everyone celebrates Christmas, but you might have some kind of rest period, whether that's for a day, 2 days, week, a month, however long you're taking, and then come back into 2023, new year, new focus, sorted. That energy shift is a really big one and is really underestimated a lot of the time. So you really want to kind of make the year kind of feel like it's cohesive and it's ended at a certain point. And I also think it's about proving yourself wrong. Many people will sit and feel like, oh, I can't do that, or they'll watch other people go and do loads of stuff and then be like, oh, I haven't done that, I can't do it. You can do it. You really, really can, but you're only going to do it if you actually believe that you can do it. That is such a big thing, that this whole thing is a mental game. Making an extra 30 grand before the end of the year comes down to you deciding you're going to do it. So it's about you deciding, yeah, I'm going to do that, or no, I'm not. And if you're listening to this and actually your 30 grand needs to be 100,000 or it needs to be 300,000 before the end of the year, put that on there. Whatever figure that is. But 30,000 is the one that gets most people quite excited and fun and yeah, God, think of all the things I could do with that money in the business. The other thing, I think the reason you want to do this is to prove to yourself that you can do 30,000 whilst having fun and it being light and exciting. This is not about finding how can I make 30 grand and it's going to be painful and annoying. This wants to be, how can I make an extra 30 grand before the end of the year and feel really excited? And I want this episode to be an episode where you share it with people, or you tell people oh, I listened to this and I did this and I actually did it and followed it and actually it worked and it was really good and it wasn't horrendous. Please do. And if you do this and come and talk to me, tell me oh, I did this and it worked, or I did this and this happened, or even just share this episode now that you're listening to it and be other people need to listen to this, whatever that means for you. I'd appreciate that, but you don't have to, just whatever. So think about why you might want to embark on this journey. Now I'm just going to get straight into the strategy in terms of in terms of what I'm going to tell you that I think you need to do, and keep it really short and sweet. So you want to make an extra 30 grand before the end of the year. Decide on your offer. You're going to sell one offer, decide on it. Decide on what it is, decide on what does it look like. If it's already an offer you already have, even better, because it's better if you're not going and making an offer. But if you are making an offer, fine. Get an offer, make it really bloody good. And I don't mean what they actually get in terms of the delivery. I also mean like make it enticing for people wanting to do it. Like make it fun if there's something that people are like, yeah, I want to do that. That sounds amazing. And whether you're B2B or whether you serve consumers, like it doesn't really matter. It just needs to be something that people are like, yeah, I can get behind that. I'm excited. I want to do it. Make sure it's juicy, it's fun, it's good, it's exciting. You also need to be excited about the offer itself. So like, please be excited about the offer, otherwise this is not going to work. If you are not bothered about the offer, it won't work. Like, point blank, it will not work. So you've got to feel really good about it. You've got to be like high energy, like, yep, I'm in, this is going to work, like 110%. Get your offer, really make sure it makes sense. I'd really recommend for like 90% of the people listening to this that you choose a high ticket offer. You don't have to. Sorry, I should say maybe it's 80% actually of the people listen. You don't have to choose a high ticket offer, but I think it makes a lot of sense for most people to choose a high ticket offer. But again, if you want to do a low ticket offer, fine. If you want to do £100, £50, £300, £500, £1,000, fine. But for most people, try and pick something that's like £5,000 plus. Like that's where I want you to be, above £5,000 if you can. Create something in that bracket that makes a lot of sense for whoever your target audience is. I then need you to sell. And this is the part that's really difficult for a lot of people, that they just won't do. They will sell once and then not sell again. I am telling you, I need you to sell and do more selling. Selling is amazing, selling is fun, selling is so good. I bloody love it. It's great. Sales is amazing. It doesn't have to be icky. It's not weird. It's not awkward. Sales is expansive, right? And it gets to be whatever you decide for it to be. So if you decide it's going to be horrendous, it will be horrendous. If you decide it's going to be light, fun, exciting, it's going to be that. So get your head pulled out of whatever situation you're sat in at the minute and into a refreshed version, more refined, excited. You then need to sell consistently for however long it takes. So whether that's going to be a week, 3 days, a month, 6 weeks, however long you've got, you're going to be selling consistently for. The biggest reason you won't make 30k if you're listening to this is because you just won't sell enough. That's 100% the top and bottom of it. If your offer's good, if your messaging's right, which I'm going to come on to, you just need to sell it. And get out of the ego of, oh, this, that, and the other, and what do I look like, and what do people think, and this, that, and the other. You just need to get out of that and sell. So get really clear on what are you selling and how are you going to sell it, and then let's just be consistent and sell. Now, this, for a lot of people, is a real good exercise because it massively helps them. Going forward in business, like longer term using it as an example for themselves, this is a real thing to embark on that you will really find value in. So, like, really listen to what I'm saying and just do it. Make a commitment, listen to this and say, you know what, I'm fucking going to do this because I need to. Because I need to prove to myself that I can do it. I think sometimes at this time of year we get quite lazy and we get quite like, oh, we're exhausted. And that's fine, you know, if you're listening to this and thinking, yeah, this is not for me, that's totally okay. But I'm speaking to people who are like, no, do you know what, I need to do this to prove to myself that like I can do whatever I'm setting out to do. So you're going to sell. You are also going to speak to people. So start having conversations with people. That's not go and just try and sell somebody something. I'm saying actually physically have conversations with people. Start, chatting with people, understanding them, getting to know them, expand your network. Like actually go and talk to people, because that in itself, the more you talk to people, the more easier it's going to be to sell it. And I'm not saying you then sell it to those people. I'm just saying the two are not connected together, but in a collection of action, that really makes a difference. So go and start speaking to more people, whether that's in person, virtually, a mixture, whatever. Let's go and start speaking to people. The other thing I need you to do is go and follow up with people. Nobody follows up with anyone anymore. And I get that, sometimes you don't need to follow up because it's like you're either going to buy or you're not. But there's a huge amount of people will be sat in your audience, in your community, in your network, who want to buy from you, maybe nearly did buy, but then they didn't buy. Go and follow up with them. Go and say hello. It doesn't have to be right, I'm doing this, here's the thing, here's the link, buy from me. That's not going to work most of the time. It's about going and having conversations and saying, hey, how are you? How's it going? Like, what's going on? Have conversations with people and then follow up with them. And if people are leads that are kind of dead leads that were something at once and not anymore, like, let's just say hello and see where they're at. Some of them might not be in business anymore, Fine, no bother. Some of them might be having a thriving business and are way ahead than they were, and they originally came to you and said they couldn't work with you because you were too expensive, and now they've got this massive business, and now they're like, oh my god, yeah, I forgot about you, like, let's work together. Some of them might have been that nothing's really changed, but that's fine. A lot of people, if you have an offer, it might be a very different offer from the thing that you first pitched them. So let's have a conversation again. That whole thing needs to be there. Like, you need to start having conversations with people. I also need you to track your results. What I mean by that is staying connected to the goal. So if the goal's 30k, I need you to be really connected to the goal. The goal is 30k, you're like, yep, I'm going to make 30k before the end of the year. You need to track that. I need you to track it well. I want you to be like, right, this is how much we've made, this is how much it is to go. If you need to write every single day down how much money you've made so far, write it down. Get really, really focused on this goal. You're like, this is the goal, this is what I'm going for, this is where we're at. Day 1, X, day 2, this, or 5th of November, this, or, you know, whatever day it is, 5th of December, this is what we're on. Get really obsessed with the goal. Get really obsessed with what you're doing, the project in itself. It's a project, right? So think about it as a project. We're going to make an extra 30 grand. This is it. And start tracking your results. If you do not track your results, you'll not do it. You might do it, but the majority of people won't. Because you need that constant tracking to keep you going. Now, you don't have to track every day if that's too triggering for you. Like, some people will find that too much, but you need to track every week at least. You've got to keep a track somewhere of something. The other thing you need to do to make an extra 30k before the end of the year is work on your messaging. Your messaging needs to be so solid. If you're going to do this in Q4, in November and December, your messaging has to be on point. That is the bit that's really going to make the difference, and it's going to make the selling a lot easier. Get really clear on who is this for, what is it, like, why are they going to buy it, what is it going to do for them, why should they join? That needs to be so clear. If that doesn't make sense, people won't buy. So if your messaging's off, it will be a nightmare to sell because it's not going to work. Like, really get clear on what is that from the messaging perspective. And it's okay if you have like 3 or 4 potential angles. I need you to pick one. And I need you to really go into detail and craft that out. You can then bring the other 3 in as secondary messaging points if you're going to promote over a long period of time. But I really need you to focus on a main key message that's really going to appeal to the buyer. And make sure whatever you're selling, you're actually talking to the person who makes the decision of who's going to buy it. Some of you, if you're not B2B, maybe you're direct to consumer, maybe you sell to children, but you're actually selling to parents because the parents is the one that's going to buy it. Make sure your messaging is around parents, not children. Although, yeah, I'm not going to go into that. That's a whole thing of like, you need to do something for both, but that's not for the conversation right now. Another example is if you are B2B, but it's something that someone else is buying further down the food chain, as in further down the chain of who actually makes the decision, you need to get your messaging that makes sense for the person who's going to be like, we need this for our business. So if you sell something for a marketing manager, then you need to make it really clear on the messaging to the marketing manager and make it to the market manager. And then the person who pulls the trigger, maybe that's the small business owner, but they're 2 different people, then create something for that person. So for example, if you're going to create content for the market manager, great, then have something for them to give to their boss, if you want to call them a boss, as in a sales letter, a video sales letter, a walkthrough, maybe it's a call, whatever, for that person, and then straddle the 2. But the messaging can be the same. So the overall message will probably be the same for the 2. It's just the way you present it will be different because of the different reasonings for each person to spark their attention. I don't want to get too far into the messaging because that's going to get like really heavy. But just please think about messaging. For most people, to be honest, listening to this, you won't have that issue. Most people will be selling to one person and that's the decision maker. So please just stick with one key messaging, like overall theme, and really go for it on that. The other thing I need you to do is plan your marketing activities. So get really clear on what are you actually going to do to market this offer and to market whatever it is you're selling. This isn't an invitation for you to get bogged down in the planning. It's not an invitation for you to procrastinate. And it's not an invitation for you to be like, oh, I'm so overwhelmed, I can't do this. When I say plan your marketing activities, for some of you that's going to be having a whole spreadsheet with all singing and dancing things that then talks to your project management system and yada yada yada. That's great if it is. Perfect. Love it, right? So for most people, it's not going to be that because you don't have enough time and you don't need to. A lot of you need to feel into the intuition of what feels good for me to post, what feels good for me to do. That's what I need you to focus on, and I need you to go with intention and do it. So if that is you, your planning your marketing activity might literally just be a sheet of A4, list of 5 points, list of 10 content ideas, a list of messages you want people to understand within your one key message. There you go, bingo. That doesn't have to be, plan your market activities does not have to be this big, long, difficult thing. The other thing to talk about here is loving on your community. Whatever community means to you, whether that's a physical community that you have, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's someone in an email database, whether it's your, LinkedIn network, whatever community means to you, I need you to love on them. I want you to really be interested in what they are doing, because that inevitably will help with the selling. That's not me saying like go and speak to people because you're then going to sell to them and that means they're going to buy. That's not. It's this idea that things can be separate. It's about you understanding what's going on in your community. What do people need? Listen to them. Hear what they've got to say. And the reason I'm saying this is because all of that activity will help you in 2023, because I'm not only trying to help you make 30 grand now, I'm trying to help you also make another 30 grand in 2 months' time. I'm just not telling you that because it's not really that appealing to you right now. But so a lot of the things I'm telling you to do here, it's not just about this 30 grand you're going to make now. It's also about the 30 grand and the 100 grand and however much next year. So start understanding your community more and really getting underneath what is going on. The next point is have fun. I want you to have fun. I want you to enjoy it. If you enjoy this, you will make 30 grand much easier. If you don't enjoy it, then it's probably not going to happen because you won't hear it out. You won't see it out. You won't keep going for the length of time you need to keep going for. And you will struggle to really feel like, yeah, I've done a good job here. This feels good. So really get your hands on what feels fun, what feels in flow, what feels energetic to me, what do people want? But then also, what do you want to deliver? Because the other thing we've got to think about here is you can't sell something that you don't want to deliver. And if you're going to deliver it, after the new year, some of you will be selling stuff for then to deliver in January. You don't want to have this dread of having to deliver it. So pick something that feels really cool for you and that feels exciting and that you're like, yeah, I'm excited for this. Excitement's everything, and I hope you can tell from this episode, like that's what I really want you to think about is how can I feel like this 30 grand that you're going to make is going to come from you feeling stuff. And if you're not someone who really feels a lot of things and you're someone who's very practical like I am and very straight to the point, I want to just invite you to take a different turn and just think about how do I feel into this and how do I feel expansive and fun and woo, this is going to be good. That's something I really want you to kind of take away from this. If you are now sat thinking, okay, right, this is making sense, cool. I also need you to detach from every single action you do having a result. And this is the part that very few people can do. And this is the difference between the people who you look up to, who are making a hell of a lot of money, and the people who aren't. Because you need to detach from taking an action and then that action giving you a certain result. That is not how this is going to work. You are going to have to put in 30 pieces of action individually for zero initial what you will see as a kickback, as a win, as a reward. But then if you keep on going, you then might have a landslide of wins. And this will only happen if you keep going for long enough, which 90% of people don't do. And this is the difference, right? If you have attempted to do something like this before and you haven't managed it, it comes down to your resilience and it comes down to your long-term, wider perspective. So really decide, no, I'm going to do this and I'm going to really, commit to this because it's important and because it matters. And actually, if you do that and you don't make the 30, but you make the 15 grand, you'll still you'll feel great, right? Or if you're aiming for 100 grand, but you actually hit the 50, still an extra 50 grand in your bank that you didn't have beforehand. So please don't get focused on like one action has to equal a sale or a sign up or a this or a that, because that's just not going to work. And you will literally get to like the 9th bit of action without getting anything back and go, fuck this, I'm done. I'm not doing this. And that's like, if you do that, then fine. But I need you to understand that that's not because the strategy doesn't work or because you can't do it. It's because you didn't keep going. And I know that might sound a bit like toxic productivity type vibe. It's not meant to sound like that. I'm just being brutally honest of, if you want to make 30 grand, you're going to have to do something. And most people don't put enough action in, because what they do is they think they've done loads of action, but all they've done is done the planning part or the strategizing part. Stop doing the strategy part. Stop doing the strategy part. Don't stop doing the strategy part. But what I mean is don't stop viewing the strategy part as the work. It's a piece of work, but it's not part of you grafting to actually sell it. And so you've really got to understand the two are different, and it's two different things, because people come to me and they're like, I can't do it. This hasn't worked. This hasn't happened. I'm like, okay, well, what are you doing? And these are big businesses as well, by the way. This isn't people who are not making any money. This can be people who've already got like a 200 grand a year, 300 grand a year, 400 grand a year business. But all of the time and the energy is focused on the before bit, and then not enough is spent on actually executing. And people have really amazing plans and strategies, but they don't actually implement. That's why when people work with me, we have implementation containers, because this is the point of getting people to actually do the shit they need to do, is the bit that people struggle with. And so I'm inviting you here and saying, listen, you can make 30 grand by the end of the year. I have no doubt about that. Providing you're going to do, and that you've sorted out the things that I've listed before this. But you have to detach from one thing means one thing, and if that doesn't equal 2, then we've failed. Or if I do 1 + 1 and I get 0, then that means that no one wants me and everyone hates me. That's not the case. This is not how business works, and you need to learn this. And this activity, if you make it an extra 30 grand, is going to show you that. And it will show you how business truly works in an exchange. And it'll prove you wrong. You can prove to yourself, like, yeah, if I want to make 30 grand in a day, I'll make 30 grand in a day. If I want to make 30 grand in a month, I will do. If I want to make it in 6 months, I will. And I think this is what you have to understand in business, is like, you are choosing how you play, how you show up, what you get from it. Many of us will feel like we're not, and we'll play victim, and we'll play this and that. And, you know, I've done this, right? I'm not saying I'm like some amazing person that doesn't get like this. I get like this too. This is why I can tell you this. I understand what it's like. Like this year, I had to make a really difficult decision this year, at the start of the year, about what was my capacity, what was I able to manage, what was I able to do. That was really hard for me, because I really had to take a step back, and not a step back in the sense of I haven't been out on my business, I've still been here all year, but I had to change a lot of plans I had. That for me was really hard, but it's also taught me a lot of stuff. And you are the same. You have decided and created a narrative for yourself this year and previous years, and you're going to continue to do that for however long. So you decide what the narrative is right now. Decide with me. You're making an extra 30 grand or you're not. And then go and take the action and prove to yourself, this is going to work for me. Because then think about finishing on the year on that real high, and then moving into what does that then mean for me going forward is a whole different conversation that we can discuss together at the time. But for now, let's focus on making this 30 grand. My other final words on this is, please, please, please shut off all the other noise, because there's going to be a lot of noise, right? There's going to be people selling the same thing as you. There's going to be people doing the same thing as you. There's going to be people selling a lot. You're going to feel uncomfortable. You're not going to feel right. You're going to feel like, oh, I don't know. I just want to encourage you, like, chill out, focus on you, focus on what your goal is, get really drilled into your message, fully believe it, fully take it on, be enthusiastic about it, talk to people. You will then win from a whole other level. And you'll be expansive, and people will want to come and be in your energy because it's fun and because it's exciting and because you're actually doing something. A lot of people are in business, but they're not doing anything. They talk a lot, they say a lot, they post a lot of random content, and they'll talk the talk, but they're not walking the walk. I want you right now to walk. And I want you to walk in such a line that you are so fierce and you so understanding of what the fuck you're going for that people are like, she's onto something, she wants something, she means business. Why can't you mean business? Let's go. Make it happen. Do it. No one is going to give you that. You are going to give it to yourself. I can't give you that, right? I cannot, with all the best will in the world, make you do something, make it happen, make you make 30 grand. I just can't. You have to be the one that decides to do this. So do it with me and say, I'm going to do this. Right now. Say this, whatever you're watching this, if you're on the bus or whatever, you're on the tube, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make 30 grand. That certainty, I need you to be so clear with yourself. Write it out, stick it on the wall, do whatever you need to do. But prove yourself wrong that you do this thing and then you fall off the wagon, or prove yourself wrong that you sometimes start this but it never finishes. Say to me, I am a finisher, because you are. And the more you prove things to yourself, the better your resilience is going to get. The more that you opt out, the more difficult it's going to be. If you choose to take up this challenge, this can really serve you well for years and years to come. Not in the money that's going to create. That's not what I'm on about. I'm on about what this will actually prove to you and what it will shift inside of you. Because this is what it is. It's a shift. And you decide to make the shift. The other thing I wanted to say to you is about working with me in 2023. So if you are listening to this in November, December, which you should be, go and have a look on Instagram at may.james_, or if you're on my mailing list, you will have had emails. We have got a very special Black Friday end of year. I say Black Friday / end of year because it's around Black Friday time, but we run for longer than that. Offer that I do once a year. And if you have followed me for any length of, if you followed me for over a year, you know I do this once a year. And I don't do it any other time of year. And I present once a year amazing, incredible offering that you can choose whether or not it's for you and you can jump into. It's mega saving, it's mega affordable, it's always an absolute joy. And I'd encourage you to go and have a look at what that is. And you can come and join me to make sure your 2023 is incredible. Because I'm not just here for, this is an episode was about short-term things and short-term gains, but I'm about long-term gains. I'm about sustainable growth. I'm about creating momentum constantly for the long term. So often you need to come and work with me for a longer period of time to, maintain that. But this episode hopefully gives you a real punch to get you going. But yeah, come work with me in 2023. If you go to my Instagram and see what we've got going on and you're actually that's not for me, there's other ways of working with me. So come and speak to me. We've got May's Accelerator, which is a epic small group container. You've got one-to-one options. You've got intensive options. You've got CEO strategy days. There's a lot of stuff, different options for you depending on where you're at in your business and what your budget is. Come and talk to me. Come and say to me, I've got this amount of money, or I think I can stretch to this a month. How can I get help from you? How can I get support? Be blunt. Don't beat around the bush. And if you don't work with me because you're I can't afford you, that's okay. But come and speak to me and I can say to you, well, actually, we have this. Or, let's find a plan for you to be able to afford X amount a month. Or some of you, it's you've got all the money in the world, but you haven't got the time and you don't feel like you've got the time to work with me. Let's come and talk to me. Say, I'm making a lot of money, but I don't have the time, I don't think, to commit to working with you. And I'll be like, okay, here's what the options are. Here's how much time you would need. Because 2023 is going to be an interesting year. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun. There's going to be lots of highs and lots of wins. But I also understand that it is going to be different. And it is going to be a challenge in the sense of you're going to have to use different skills that you maybe don't already have in your business toolkit or that you haven't had to use to such a degree. So make sure you've got the right team around you, me being one of those members, and really be able to thrive. But I will speak to you next week. Tune in. Go and make your extra 30 grand. Come and talk to me and tell me how you're getting on. Tell me when I can celebrate with you. I'm very excited. I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Honest Business Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure that you are subscribed, and if you'd like to support the podcast, please share it with others and leave a rating and review. To catch up with all the latest from me, you can follow me on Instagram at may.james_, where I share the raw, uncut, behind the scenes reality of what running multiple businesses every day truly looks like. As always, links and any resources that were mentioned in the episode will be in the show notes below. That's all for this episode, and I look forward to seeing you next time.